Happy New Year to you all. I hope you had a fantastic time and that 2024 brings you happiness and joy. Now, we've seen a dramatic downturn in Scrum Master and Agile Coach roles last year. It's mainly been driven by the dire state of the economy and the numerous crises in many countries around the world. The cost of living increase both to individuals and organisations. But what does this mean for Agile? Is it dead like many are proclaiming? Has it failed to deliver on its promise? What's the current state of Agile in 2024? Let's talk about it. For 20 years, Agile in all its flavours and the rise of the so-called scaling frameworks have been thriving. And many have capitalised and cashed in on this through certifications. Certification after certification after certification. Now, I'm not knocking learning, of course not. We all need to learn, but the Agile certification industry is just a jungle. You could spend your entire life in the Agile certification circus without actually getting your hands dirty in the real world of value delivery. What was it George Bernard Shaw said? Those who can do, those who can't teach. And not to mention big consultancies promising fast Agile adoption. Now, there was a blip in terms of Agile adoption back in 2008 during the financial crisis, but just a few short years later, people came flooding back. This tends to happen every time the economy takes a downturn and organisations have to tighten their belts. And it happened again about 5 years ago. And now in 2024, organisations are again questioning the benefit of Agile. Well, it's no wonder really. They've spent millions of dollars on transformations and most haven't seen any benefit at all. So why is that? Well, in part it's due to a lack of understanding about what Agile is and what it's not. And it's partly due to the tidal wave of newly certified Scrum Masters and Agile coaches lacking the experience and understanding of how to help and so ultimately not helping at all. Plus, big consultancies up to their usual tricks of swooping in with promises of agility, only then to leave companies struggling with the mess that they have made. Now, interestingly, in the second annual State of Agile Culture Report, link in the description below, there's a huge disparity between C-suite, senior leadership and the workers. Now, the C-suite and the senior leadership, when asked, believe that they both promote and apply Agile ways of working and are role models for Agile behaviour. Well, unsurprisingly, when the workers were asked the same thing, they did not believe this was true at all. Now, what are your thoughts on this? Let me know about your experiences in the comments and we can have a chat about it. Now, this just highlights the disconnect that leadership still have between themselves and the people who actually do the work. Organisations' leadership must also take their fair share of blame for Agile adoption failure, or rather their inability to get value from it. This was also reflected in the 16th State of Agile report, which stated a lack of leadership engagement. 42% of respondents identified inadequate leadership participation as a significant barrier to Agile adoption. I'll drop a link to this in the description below, but you'll need to sign up to the Digital AI website to receive a copy. I'd urge you to give it a read as it's got some really surprising observations and we can chat about it in the comments. And look, the point is that you can own a guitar, but that doesn't mean you can play like Jimi Hendrix. You've got to put the work in if you want to get good at it. You've got to be fully invested in it. And buying a guitar then leaving it on the shelf to gather dust isn't going to work. And it's the same with everything else, Agile included. You need skin in the game for this to work. So what's that? Well, it's having a vested personal interest in its success. So make sure you've got the right people in place and that they've got the right level of empowerment and they aren't going to do a runner when things get difficult. If you don't have skin in the game, then you've got nothing invested, nothing to lose. So why would you care one way or the other? You're just there to collect a paycheck. Now, simply deciding you need to go Agile, making a few changes and putting a process in place like Scrum or Kanban isn't going to make you Agile unless you put the effort in. You often hear people bang on about how you've got to be people-centric, put them first, be caring in order for Agile to work. And don't get me wrong, I am a big believer in servant leadership myself. But look, all this Yoda woolly stuff is really starting to annoy the hell out of organisations. Even the terminology, being Agile rather than just doing it, Scrum Master, Agile coaches, Agilists, or worse still, Agilistas. It is an industry within itself. Now look, I don't mean to cause offence to anyone using these terms, but I call myself a Scrum Master and Agile coach after all. But there's just too much baggage with these words that leaves a sour taste for many, particularly those who've either spent millions of dollars on transformations or those who've been personally affected by either losing their job or having to change their role to something else, such as project managers being rebranded as either product owners or Scrum Masters, being given a quick course in the left to fend for themselves with the occasional help from a so-called Agile coach. If it sounds like you, please let me know. Let's have a chat and see if I can help. So, let's think for a moment. What is the prime purpose of an organisation? It's to make money, be profitable. They aren't doing this for free. I'm sorry to have to break it to all you Gen Zs out there, but hard work is what it's all about. The bottom line, profit. Look, if a byproduct of this is to make people happier at work, then great, but it is not the objective. Organisations have been sold a pack of lies for years, but it's also partly their own fault. They've only half-heartedly tried to implement Agile, expecting the lower ranks to make it work without senior leadership truly buying in and driving it. But for this to work, to make lasting change, then leadership have to drive it. But let's rewind for a second. What do we even mean by Agile? Now, if we mean following the Agile manifesto, using a framework like Scrum, then Agile is arguably dead for many. Although, in my experience, most people claiming to be Agile are not even close. So how can Agile be dead when it hasn't even been tried properly? Now, one thing is for certain, the concept of business agility is most definitely alive and well. Helping organisations to deliver regularly the right product or service to the customer at the right time, creating value for them, being able to change quickly based on feedback and market conditions, and doing all of this faster than the competition to gain competitive advantage. This has always been the goal, long before it was called agility. So, if you're a leader at an organisation, then agility should be first and foremost on your mind, not Agile from some snake oil salesman. Now, do you need to use Scrum? Have an army of teams and a first reserve of Scrum Masters? No, you don't. You really don't. Do you need to have a brigade of Agile coaches? No, of course not. But you do need people who can help you deliver value and positive outcomes to your customers regularly, and people who can show you this in practice, put checks and measures in place to actually track and validate if what's being delivered really is adding value to the business and to customers. So, how could you do this? Well, at a basic level, put effective feedback loops in place with your customers so you can measure what value is really being delivered. Understand the total cost of ownership so you can decide whether this thing you're producing is making or losing you money. If you want to get a bit more structured, consider using EBM, evidence-based management. EBM is an empirical approach that helps organisations to continuously improve customer outcomes, organisational capabilities, and business results under conditions of uncertainty. There's a lot to cover on EBM, and there are already a lot of videos out there. I'd suggest checking out the Agile for Humans channel, as they talk about it quite a lot, and they've just recently published a book on it. But let me know in the comments below if you'd like me to do a video on it. Anyway, organisations, recruit wisely. Don't be swayed by a plethora of certifications. Look for real-world experience, where people have made a positive impact. There's no need to call people Scrum Masters or Agile coaches. Call them whatever makes sense to your organisation. Being a Scrum Master is an accountability, not a job title. It's always been about context, but so many people want a quick fix thinking they can just buy an off-the-shelf package of agility. Well, I'm sorry to break it to you, it simply doesn't work that way. So, if the terms Scrum Master or Agile Coach don't work for you, then call them something that does work for you. If they need to be the team lead or the delivery lead, then so be it. If they need to be the line manager of that team, then fine. The important part is making it work for your own context. There's so many Scrum Masters and Agile Coaches out there who can help you, but unfortunately there are so many that can't. So, you need to know what you're looking for. So stop putting generic job descriptions for Scrum Masters and take the time and effort to describe what you really need. And if you're a Scrum Master or Agile Coach, then up your game. The situation we're currently in is partly our fault. And don't sit there all zen-like spouting Agile nonsense. Get involved, roll your sleeves up and start delivering value yourself. You're not there just to facilitate, set up meetings, write status reports and move JIRA tickets about. Anyone can do that, so focus and deliver. Now, I'm available to help, so reach out to me on the email in the description below and let's have a chat to see where I can add value for you. So, poorly implemented Agile, where leadership don't buy into it and don't drive it, where you just turn the wheel and deliver garbage week in, week out, where you've got Scrum Masters and Agile coaches with all the certifications in the world but with no real depth of experience, and where you don't monitor and measure the value to the customer. This should most certainly be dying, if not already dead, and good riddance. Now, if you want some ideas on where to start, then check this video out. Okay, I hope you have a great year. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit the like button, share and subscribe. That stuff really makes a difference and I'd greatly appreciate it. Okay, that's it for this one. Stay safe, stay humble, and I will see you next Thursday for another Agile Thought.